Good morning to all of our viewers out there this morning. We greet you in the name of Jesus this morning as we look into his word. We're in the minor prophet, the book of Hosea this morning.
Amen.
We've been visiting a lot of these minor prophets over the last few weeks in our Sunday school lessons. And it's good because God used them in mighty ways too, you know. And but for some reason, they've been denoted as major and minor prophets. But all of them did the same thing for God, though.
Mm-hmm.
They preached the word of God. And Hosea did the same thing. And these men, of course, came about at different times. The prophets lasted for hundreds of years, and there were many, many prophets. And we're familiar with a few of them. Even Moses was considered as a prophet, you know. And so we visited Hosea this morning, and the title of our lesson is Return to Love and Justice. You'll find this in our printed text is Hosea 11th chapter, talks about verse 1 and 2, and then skips down to 7 through 10. And then it goes all the way over to verse 12, and picks up at verses 1 and 2, then skips down to 6 through 14. So kind of a long lesson this morning, you know. And so for those of you at home, I know that's a lot of reading, but we do encourage you to read these lessons so your perspective and view of what we're talking about this morning will broaden the more that you read. And so we encourage you to read all of it. All of us have a little extra time on our hands these days, so I say we get to know God better with that extra time, you know, that we have to sit at home and read it as we're with our families and still practicing staying in and social distancing. It says by the end of the lesson, the author wants us to take a look at three things by the time we get to the end of the lesson. And he wants us to compare prosperity as a worldly goal, prosperity, and everybody understands the word prosperity, against the godly virtues of love and justice.
Mm-hmm.
Today's prosperity versus the godly love and justice. Then it wants us to reflect on the occasions where we have made material prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what that means. Stuff. We like our stuff.
And you know, excuse me, nothing wrong with prosperity if it's in the right way. You know, God wants us to live comfortable. God wants us to have things. But the key to that is don't put nothing before God. Nothing wrong with prosperity. Nothing wrong with having things. All of us like nice things. But now, if that's going to interfere with you coming to church, if that's going to interfere with you praising God, if that's going to interfere with you having God as a part of your life, then you got a problem.
If that's going to interfere with your relationships with other people,
yes,
friends, family members, co-workers, your neighbors that you ain't never seen before, strangers, if that's going to affect you in a negative way, then you don't need it in your life.
That's exactly
that
right.
Prosperity is doing more damage, more harm than anything else. Goes on to say that prosperity, material prosperity.
Yes.
And like I said, we know that stuff. A greedy, covetous goal, you know. And then it asks us to practice, put it into practice, you know, make up in your mind that you're going to practice loving folks, the unlovable. You know, there's an old adage, you know, a child only a mother could love. That's a pretty bad person, a child that only mama could love, you know. He done ticked off everybody else, you know, but mama still loved him, you know. And we want to practice that love and justice in our own lives, because our lesson this morning says they are very key virtues. Brianna and Jackson, twins. They family going through some things, got some issues going on about dad keeping jobs, mama sick. They the oldest, the twins, got two younger siblings at home. So, you know, so it's four of them, total of six, including mom and dad. But they go down to the local soup house, the church that's, you know, serving meals and stuff. They're thinking on their way down there, well, you know, we can take mom and daddy something back, you know. They encouraged us to go, make sure we got something to eat. We get down there and we ain't no to-go plates, ain't no extras.
And we closing in 20 minutes.
Well, they found that out, ran home, so it must have been right down the street. Told mom and dad sent them right back and said, y'all go down there and get something, you know. And got down there and found out they couldn't bring nothing back to mom and daddy. And so now they left with stuff in their pockets. Yeah, they left, that's the only thing they could think of to do, the stuffed pockets, because we telling you, our daddy is without a job, our mama is sick, there's two little smaller children, toddlers at home, and we would like to take something back to them, and you say, no, can't do it. Okay. Now, according to our lesson, there's something wrong with that picture.
And the church sign says, we are a caring church.
There's something wrong with that picture.
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
You know, and let me say this. A lot of times, we have to go out of our way to help people. I don't care what time we say we close. If there's a need, we need to stay open. We need to take care of that need. If people are hungry, we can't say, well, you know, we close in 20 minutes. We can't say, well, if you got folks at home that are sick or your dad's out of job, you can't take nothing out. Sometimes you have to make exception. And that's because of the love of God.
Okay. Especially a church.
Yes.
Now, if this is Joe's restaurant that's doing something, and he say, well, I'm already giving away, you know, money out of my pocket, so it's because I paid for this food, but I'm willing to share. But in 10 minutes, I'm cutting off. That's all I'm doing for the day. Y'all gonna have to come back tomorrow, you know. And we know a lot of people that do that, even right now during COVID-19. You know, they cutting off at certain times, you know, but they still trying to help the public by giving away free stuff. So, in other words, if these are neighborhood children, and if y'all have seen these children before, and you may or may not know their parents, and they tell you that they got sickly parents or unemployed parents at home that need a little food too. Now, to me, if I'm running that soup kitchen, that's enough to convince me, you know, that yes, little children can lie too, but grown-ups are much better liars, you know.
And you know, something
I think I would have listened to those children.
And even if you didn't believe the children, because like you said, sometimes children do lie. Sometimes grown folk lie too. But even if you didn't believe it, you ought to have enough godly folks in your church who will go down to that house and check on that and see what the situation is about, and come back and let us know.
You may or may not have enough manpower to do that, you know, especially if you got volunteers and you done told them they getting off at a certain time now, you know, so you got a lot to consider, you know, in this situation.
And another thing, that sign you got up on your church, we are a caring church, but you're not showing it.
We are a loving church, you know, but you're not really showing a lot of love right now, you know. So those in focus stories are to set us up for the actual lesson.
Amen.
And so, so we get a glimpse of the situation, and so now we know that after King Solomon died, the Israeli country split into a southern and northern kingdom. And God sent prophets to both kingdoms. And Hosea was from the northern kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he prophesied at. And because of the rift among the people and the split, the subsequent split in Israel, you got people down in the southern kingdom, they still trying to hold on to God, but they doing a lot of the stuff too. In the northern kingdom, they just doing anything they want to do.
And you know, I wonder about that. Hosea from the northern kingdom, but he did his preaching at the southern kingdom, Judah. And I wonder now, because the lesson tells us the northern kingdom was much worse than the southern kingdom. You would think if a man is from the northern kingdom, he would try to do most of his preaching where he come from. But I guess he went where God sent him.
Of course, he preached what God told him to preach. And plus, we know that a lot of times we're not successful among our own folks. We got to go to strangers to be successful.
Bible tells us that.
The Bible tells us that, don't it?
Bible tells us that.
You know. Okay, so the northern kingdom was making alliances. Like I said, now they had separated themselves. We do what we want to do, and y'all down there in Judah, y'all do what y'all want to do. And we making alliances. We making deals with Assyria. We making deals with Egypt. We worshiping idols if we want. You know, we doing everything that God asks us not to do. Everything that God asks us not to do, we're doing it. And God simply told Hosea, he said, Hosea, you need to say these words to them to show them the error of their ways, you know, because they're making a big mistake, you know. And so when it came down to Assyria destroying Israel, the whole land, the northern kingdom went 100 and some years before the southern kingdom.
Sure did.
God allowed them to come in there and ransack the northern kingdom where Hosea was trying to make his point. Return to love and justice. God saying that, look here, you go through the festival of booths every year to remind you of when your forefathers came out of Egypt and had to live in tents for 40 years out in the desert, you know. And you have that celebration every year to remind you of that, you know. And who saved them, who brought them out. So, but you disregard me, you disrespect me. I give you prosperity, I give you wealth, your lands are producing, but you take all the credit yourself. You don't give me none as the Lord.
And you know, as far as their wealth, they did any and everything crooked under the sun to get it. Gaining wealth was their God. They put God aside.
The love of money.
Love of money
is the root.
And no matter who they hurt, you know, we talked about the oppressed.
Yeah.
They did everything they could against poor people. All because greed, wealth, power, worshiping idol God, did everything.
Yeah. And God, when he made up his mind, because Sodom and Gomorrah is mentioned in this lesson, when he told Abraham, if you can find 10, Abraham couldn't find 10.
Mm-hmm.
God said, can you find 5?
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't find 5. Then God said, can you find one good person in Sodom and Gomorrah? I would say that if you can just find one.
Mm-hmm. And you know, again, we want to say,
yeah,
nothing wrong with having wealth. Nothing wrong with material. Because when you think about it in the Bible, some of your richest men in the Bible, Abraham, rich. I'm trying to think,
Job was rich.
Job, rich man.
Very rich.
But now you know the key to that is, they never put any of that before God. God came first.
Yeah.
And see, if we live like that as Christians, God wants us to have nice things. God wants you to live prosperous. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, you know, and we can't spend all our time at the altar worshiping God. We got to leave the altar and go out and help people.
Yes, sir.
That's our purpose here, is to help others.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't put here just to bow down to God 24 hours a day. You got to go out and help somebody. That's why you were put here.
Exactly.
And so, you know, they wasn't helping nobody but themselves.
Now that's so true. You know, if you gain wealth, you love God, share it. Give some of it away to help the less fortunate. Why would you hoard it all for yourself? That's a sin right there.
The Bible tells us that too. Too much is given.
Much is required. That's right.
That's what it's telling you. That's point blank telling you.
If you got a lot, you ought to give a lot.
You need to be sharing it, because if
Yes.
you're not, then you're abusing the blessing.
Amen.
Amen. Good morning.
Morning.
So, you know, when we know these things, but do we actually practice love and justice?
Mm-hmm.
See, you can preach, you can show up at church every Sunday and do everything, but if you're not practicing,
You know,
in your daily life,
and Brother Barnett talking about today's society. You go in these department stores, or either these other stores, you look on the shelves, folks will run in and try to buy up just everything.
right now,
They ain't concerned about nobody else
the next man.
but self.
Yeah.
And that's a sin. You know,
And their analogy is that, okay, right now, poor people and rich people alike, the government got these subsidies. I use the word subsidies, all these care packages that people are getting, including the stimuli that everybody got, you know, and even the unemployed, you know, they getting extra money from the government along with the money that the state of Alabama is giving them. And when you combine the two, many people are making more money at home, sitting at home doing nothing, than they were when they were at work. Okay? So as far as they're concerned, this can go on for a long time. Y'all just keep sending that check every week in the mail and I won't go back to work. Yeah. I'm making more money sitting down. If I go back to work, I'm gonna make less, you know. And so they're taking that money and they're assuming that whatever I'm getting, you're getting it too. They assume that. Okay? All of us know that store open at 7 a.m. All of us know that. You got money and I got money. You don't get up, wake up till 9. I'm at that store at 7 o'clock. I beat you there. I got this money to spend, and I bought the limit. Whatever, most of the stores are putting limits on what you can buy too, you know.
Right.
I go in there and I buy the limit, and I come back. Now, if it looks like a whole lot to you, I'm sorry that I got there at 7, you didn't get there till 9. You had the same opportunity I had. You have a car, you have money in your pocket. You could have got there with me. So they don't look at it as hoarding. They really don't. They don't look at it. They look at it as equal opportunity. Same opportunity I had to go out and get this stuff, same opportunity you had. But you was a little slothful about moving. And that's the way people look at it, you know. And so the only thing that I'm saying is, you know the situation. If you're in tune with the Holy Spirit and God is still guiding your life, then you're making those decisions and you're making those moves and you're going to those places where you need to go to sustain your family, you know. So I wouldn't want to lay the blame anywhere, because you don't have what the next man have, especially if you've been getting the same resources as everybody else has, you know. Mm-hmm. So looking at that and looking quickly at the lesson, New Life Translation. Now, this is God talking to Hosea, and Hosea doing his best to translate to the people. When Israel was a child. When was Israel ever a child? I would say that they were children in the early years in the Promised Land, and they were children even in Egypt before they come out of Egypt. Mm-hmm. I would say that Israel was a fledgling nation, you know, at that time. And I called my son out of Egypt. Okay, now we know that's referring to Christ. Mm-hmm. As a child, when God told him to flee to Egypt. But the more I called to him, the further he moved from me, talking about Israel again. Right. Offering sacrifices to the images of Baal and burning incense to idols. Okay, these are the things that you were doing, and you know that was against, you know, my liking. For my people are determined to desert me. They call me the Most High, but they don't truly honor me. Mm-hmm. We got it saying today, everybody that call on the name of Jesus don't know Jesus. That's right. A lot of folks. That's right. Jesus come out of a lot of folks' mouths, but a lot of folks don't know Jesus, you know, because they're not living and practicing the lives that they are asked to. How can I give you up, Israel? How can I let you go? This is God's love talking now. Mm-hmm. You know, y'all done some bad things. And guess what? In my word, the wages of sin is death. That's right.
And you know, I think about that scripture where the Lord says, you sing Zion songs, you go through all the ritual, but your heart is far from it.
Our lesson mentions the fact that in Deuteronomy, all of us can go and read. Mm-hmm. You got a son that's acting up at home, don't want to mind. Mm-hmm. Don't want to mind mom, don't want to mind dad.
And he know better.
Under Jewish law, he could be handed over to the elders of the city, and he could be stoned to death.
Yes, sir.
For misbehavior, a wayward son. What God is saying, I got every right to destroy you. Mm-hmm. I got every right to destroy you. Because what you've done, you know, is definitely against what I preach.
But for the love in my heart.
It says here, how can I let you go? How can I destroy you like Admah, demolish you like Zibion? Those were two other cities that were destroyed along with Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes, sir.
Then it says, my heart is torn within me, and my compassion overflows. Boy, look here. We talking about a mother's love here, ain't we?
Yes, Lord. You know, and like you just read, for what you did, I got every right.
Every right to take your life.
To take your life. But for the love.
Ooh, Lord, I love you so much.
That's right.
I love you so much.
Only God got that kind of love. Only God.
Or a mother. For someday, the people will follow me. And the eye of the Lord will roar like a lion. And when I roar, my people will return trembling from the west. In other words, God said, I'm looking way down the road now.
Mm-hmm.
One day y'all gonna come back to me. And because I'm God and I can see that far down the road, I'm gonna hold my anger. One man telling me to destroy it, but my heart telling me to hang on to it.
You know, when I think back, when we was young, most of us raised up in the church. When we got a certain age, we wanted to get out there and just see what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We knew better, because sometimes when you're out in the world and things happen to you, it'll come to your remembrance. But you stayed out there anyway, and that reminds you of the children of Israel. They were God's chosen. It ain't like they didn't know better. They knew better. But they got out there, started worshiping idol gods. They started wealth, greed, and all of that meant more to them than God.
It says, now the Lord is bringing charges against Judah. Okay, talking about the southern kingdom. He is about to punish Jacob for all his deceitful ways and pay him back what he has done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, come back to your God. Act with love and justice, and always depend on him. But no, the people are like crafty merchants selling from dishonest scales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The scale in his favor.
Mm-hmm.
In the merchant's favor. They love to cheat. Israel boasts, I am rich. I made a fortune all by myself. Didn't need God's help. I made this fortune all by myself. I'm a self-made millionaire.
And that's a dangerous thing to say.
Self-made. No one has caught me cheating. My record is spotless. But I am the Lord your God who rescued you from slavery in Egypt, and I will make you live in tents again, as you do each year at the festival of shelters. I sent my prophets to warn you with many visions and parables. But the people of Gilead, that's in the northern kingdom, are worthless because of their idol worship. Like I said, the northern kingdom was, they were way worse than the southern kingdom. And in Gilgal, northern kingdom also, they sacrifice bulls. Their altars are lined up like heaps of stone along the edges of a plowed field. Now, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the last of the big three, Jacob. We know that the tribes of Israel are named after 12 of his sons. Mm-hmm. Okay, says that Jacob fled to the land of Aram, and there he earned a wife by tending sheep. Actually, Jacob had 2 wives, and he worked 7 years to each of them, and then he threw in 6 more for a total of 20. 7 years for this wife, 7 years for that wife, and 6 more, to get some more sheep. So when Jacob did leave the land of Aram, he was a rich man.
He sure was.
He was a rich man.
And I thought about what you were saying a few minutes ago about self-made. A person think that they did it all themselves. Whatever they gained in this world, they got it themselves. Yeah. And I never will forget him. A little while ago, some time ago, a politician said something. He said, she said, who was a woman politician, she said, if you call yourself self-made, who nurtured you when you was born?
Right.
Who taught you how to read?
Right.
Some teacher. roads you drive on.
Yeah.
Who made the roads you drive on?
Right.
Men and women fighting in battle to keep you safe. Ain't no such thing as self-made.
Mm-hmm.
When you say self-made, that means everything in your life you did it yourself. Ain't no such thing as that.
The people of Israel were actually headed by the religious sect, the Pharisees and the priests, Sadducees. That was their government, so to speak. Though that was the ruling body. But we know that actually under Roman rule, the Romans actually ruled. But within themselves, and among themselves, it was the Pharisees and Sadducees and the priests, right? Okay. So it says the leaders failed to teach the people of Israel how to seek and follow after God. God is laying the blame directly on the leadership in Israel, okay? Because y'all might be religious leaders, but you love money. You love money, you love big houses, you love fine clothes. Every time you step out on the street, you got your crown on and and you're bright and colorful.
Now you talking about the priests and the religious leaders?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, and we have to understand that even today in the church, you got some leaders that are the same way. They want to be seen. They want the attention focused on them. In other words, yes, I was called to preach, and I'm your pastor, but they have to be very, very careful for them being out front and up front all the time, for that to become something that they thrive on. And it's not the fact that they are a mouthpiece for God. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Right. And all of a sudden, the mouthpiece for God then took a back seat to being out front. I'm the man.
And talking about those ungodly religious leaders. Now see, they were telling the people, whatever you doing is all right. You still pay your tithe. Even though you are oppressing the poor, but you're still going to the temple. You're doing everything that supposedly is right. But see, God is not pleased with that.
He's not pleased with it at all.
Yeah.
See, and even the money that was being given at the temple wasn't used properly.
Yes.
See, that's the problem. See, I think the rich got richer and the poor stayed poor. Because if you look at it, that money was supposed to help the poor.
So
even going back then.
So when the prophet came along, those folks said, "Now I've talked to my priest, and he told me whatever I'm doing is all right with God."
Yeah. So where you coming with this stuff from?
Where you coming with this stuff? Yeah.
It says their benefits would be a direct result of their success without help from God. Jacob attempted to cleanse his home of idol worship. However, his descendants, talking about the rest of Israel, remained steadfast in their worship of idols. As a result, dishonesty, as noted by Jacob's past, became the normal in how people attain their wealth. By dishonesty. That was the normal way of obtaining wealth, And so, when we talk about love and justice, we talking about Jesus said you will always have the poor. No matter how fabulous you become as a nation, how good of a Congress you have, how good of a Senate and a president that you have, I will always be able to come into your land and find who? Poor people.
Poor people.
Poor people. Jesus said you will always have them. That means that when Jesus stepped foot back on this earth again, there will be poor people.
Yes, it will.
There will be poor people. But those are the people you need to direct your attention to. That is what Jesus said before he left here. And so the poor are being used as a measurement of how well you're doing as a society of people when it comes to helping. You know, it ain't, like I say, it ain't about all the prosperity you have. That's fine, like you said earlier, that's fine. But your actions should tell me that you care more about that person down the street that the children don't have clothes to wear to school than you do your fine car.
That's right.
Yeah, you know.
That's right.
See, yeah, you know, you don't have anything to help them. The church that you attend don't have anything to help them, but yet still you making $800 a month payment on your car, and you got a mortgage too that you're paying. You're handling them pretty good.
That's right.
Yeah. See, so you know, all of us can't get too comfortable.
That's right.
In what we're doing, because in God's eyesight, it probably ain't enough. In God's eyesight.
That's right.
In the man's eyesight, you might be, ooh, yeah, you're a pillar of the community. But then God, when you go before him, and he look at you and say, you did all right, but you could have done a lot better with what I gave you.
But you know, like you said, as Christians, I don't care what you have, you ought not never be comfortable. Now, why I say that? Anytime you look out, like you said, especially on TV, and you see poor people all over the world.
Yeah.
I heard a preacher say one time, my wife not living good. She retired and I'm retired. But when I look on that TV and I see poor people all over the world, sometimes I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you got to be concerned about others. You're a child of God.
It says we cannot place our definitions of human characteristics onto how we understand God's behavior. Human characteristics, virtues, talents that we have, gifts that we have been blessed with. None of that equals to the abilities and capabilities of God. You know, God is supreme, you know, and you can't use human standards when you're trying to look at God. You understand what I'm saying? God is above any human being that's ever been created, you know, and the kind of love that God shows is way above the love that we show. God shows a real agape love. God shows that kind of love all the time.
Yes, he does.
But look here, we catch it trying to show that kind of love. Because we always got our guard up, don't we?
That's right.
You know, I ain't gonna be taken advantage of no more. What does that mean? You ain't gonna help nobody no more?
And you know, I'll tell you something else. I know when I ride around sometime and I see people downtrodden, people don't have anything on them. And the first thing comes to my mind, only by the grace of God, that could be me.
It could be you.
That could be me. And I keep that before me at all time.
And see, and like I said, we had a leader here that always told us that he was afraid not to help somebody.
Yes, sir.
Because he never knew when it was a test for him. When God was testing him. He couldn't tell the difference. He just couldn't tell the difference. God, are you testing me? God ain't gonna answer that question. You have an opportunity here to do something. It's up to you to do it. You're a free will agent. I'll let you know if I'm testing you. In the back.
And add to what you just said, you know, when it comes down to helping people, we know you got folks out there flamming, folks out there got the wrong attitude or trying to beat people out of things. But you know, like our former pastor said, I would rather to lose in that way than to take a chance and don't help somebody who really in need and I didn't help them. So now if you don't beat me out $10 or $20, I would rather lose that than for somebody to come along who's really in need and I take the attitude, well, I'm not gonna help them because they might be up to some trick or some game or something.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know.
So when you read the word, the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, what's your definition of peace? What's his definition of peace? What's her definition of peace? Whatever definition you can come up with,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you are here on planet Earth, God's peace surpasses all understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a peace that you can only obtain through the grace of God and the Holy Spirit. I mean, and so we understand God to be much bigger than we are, way bigger than we are.
And you know, in reading this lesson like you just said, none of us could think on the mind of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that to say, even in this lesson, a lot of things that was done to God, most of us wouldn't have took. How his own people mistreated him, things they did and the way they lived, even though they was punished, but at the same time, they broke God's heart. He loved them still.
Man, the kings back then killed for less than that.
Mm-hmm.
Way less than that.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at somebody the wrong way. If the wrong word came out your mouth, you could lose your life.
Mm-hmm.
Back during this time. It says, God at this moment is calling out Jacob, talking about Israel, and the people of Israel for their deceit and the deceit of his descendants, who believed that their successes came from their works.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm. Not from God. Their works.
It came from their works. God is now calling to bring a charge against the people of Israel. But even in his charge against his people, this charge is coming from his continued love for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm charging you with love in my heart. And I know that my mama loved me. I know she loved me. She loved all 7 of them. But it didn't feel like that when she was wailing on you, boy.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have mama will love that.
That's right. These are love licks. Love licks.
Mama would have loved that.
Ask
You know.
the question.
That's you know. See, you know, daddy the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, son, I'm doing this because I love you. Well, you couldn't understand that if you tried to back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this because I love you. But now as adults, we know.
That's right.
We know. A child that ain't getting whooped, get out there in the streets and do any and everything they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got no love at home. No, sir.
Adderall.
God warned the people of Israel that if they continue to live in such a way that glorifies material success and idol worship, they would be sent back to the tents and placed in bondage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened.
Yes.
That's what happens, you know. Now, fast forward to today. Is God telling us through COVID-19? Is he reminding us of these lessons that we're reading every Sunday now and how they correlate to what's going on today? Is he testing us? Is he giving us a chance to change our mind? Is he giving us a chance to change our ways and come back to him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we understand what Revelation, for those of us that have read and studied a little bit about Revelation, we know that there are some end time things in Revelation. And a lot of people are saying that we in the end times, and we are in the end times, but are we at that end? Have we got that far to where these plagues and vials and stuff will start being opening? Okay, that's a different Sunday school right there. But how close are we to that? Is God trying to nudge us back to him some kind of way. You know, we tease about the 2001 thing in New York with the buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
9/11, about all the folks that showed up in church that week,
Mm-hmm.
and for a few weeks after that, and then they went out the back door and the side door.
Right.
Churches got empty again after a while, right? Okay, so right now, COVID-19 is not even letting people back in the church that are a little scared and thinking that maybe I do need to take a hard look at my life, you know. But the churches ain't open. I can't even get into one now. So the jury is still out on will COVID-19 drive some people back to God.
Mm-hmm.
I pray that it does.
I do too.
I pray that it does. You know,
Yes, I do.
I pray that when this gets to a, you know, to a comfortable, get to a comfortable place again, that we see more people, you know, that's kind of saw how their life could be hanging in the balance with stuff out there that they can't control. Can't control this.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go out every day. I gotta work. I gotta take care of my family. You know. Yeah. So those are things like that that we might think about. Seek to trust God to continue being a provider in your life, and not to trust in your own ability to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I put a star by that. We have to learn to trust God for being the provider in our life, and not trust in our own ability
Mm-hmm.
to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that say stop working?
No.
No. that does not say stop working. It
No.
just let God dump it in your lap, so to speak. Because if that could happen, it would be some people lined up to get it dumped in their lap. What that is saying to me is that God has given you gifts. You exercise those gifts to the best of your ability. And if they can earn you a living, so be it. God will bless you through that, you know. But God say, look at the ant.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mighty worker, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That ant.
Yeah.
And you know what that tells me too? That tells me, do all you can to try to make things work. But after doing everything I could, and it didn't work out, my trust is in God.
There you go.
That He gonna work it out.
If I come up a little short.
Yeah. That's why when you said, do that mean I have to work? Yeah, you got to work. That means you got to work, you got to do the things you're supposed to do to try to provide.
Right.
But out of all of that, if it don't work out,
Yeah.
put your trust in God.
We have been given wealth so that we may extend back the same love God has shown us and share it among the least of these.
Mm-hmm.
And work toward restorative economic justice.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King III was on television early this morning before I come. And they was asking him, you know, what his daddy would have done, what his daddy would have thought about what was going on all this today.
You can't answer that question.
He said, well, I can't speak for dads, you know. But he was talking about how slow justice is in coming.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if something happened today, the next day, no later than the next day, a decision has to be made whether charges are going to be brought against. Don't wait no 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, in 3 or 4 days' time, you could have twisted and turned it, all the facts and everything, you know, and now you don't have a case. You know, when you see things happen, you know, you immediately do something about it. When you wait, that gives people, you know, the mind to think that you're trying to pull something, you know. But anyway, it says Israel is a promiscuous wife and an ungrateful or stubborn child. That's what Israel is being right now. And God, I'm not going to do what my mind told me to do, which was to destroy you, you know. Because I could have just sent fireballs down from heaven and completely destroyed Israel, everything in it, you know. But I'm not going to do that. like I did Sodom and Gomorrah, but I am gonna let Nebuchadnezzar come in there. That's eventually what God did in this case here, you know. So, love, mercy, justice. Those are the three things that our lesson is bringing out this morning. And if you practice those three things right there in your life, love, mercy, and justice, then you will exhibit some of the grace that God shows toward everybody. Grace that undeserved favor. That's what they tell me that is, you know. Though none of us deserve it.
That's right.
But we get heaps and heaps of it, you know, as my grandmama said, a heap of it. And I love God's grace because he doesn't discriminate with it, you know. He doesn't discriminate with it. We're gonna stop right there and encourage you to read this lesson. Like I said, it's one of the longer lessons that we've had, but it's a good lesson. And you can see a lot of what's going on today tied into this lesson. So in your spare time, those of you at home, we encourage you to read it. Have an enjoyable week, and prayerfully, we ask God that we may see you again here next week.